Hey everybody, welcome to Brick Vault. We are looking at the Kessel run Millennium Falcon. People are just kind of calling this the new Millennium Falcon. That's because it is sort of the prequel version, the earlier version of what the Millennium Falcon used to look like before it became all grayed out. You are noticing that, yes, of course, the nose is a bit longer, and of course the color combination has totally changed. The Corellian freighter had a base color of white all along and nobody knew it. Anyways, I'm going to be interpreting this set, going through all of the minifigs, as well as all of the internal structural details and external structural details of the Falcon ship itself. But first, let me say that this set is set number 75212. It is got 1,414 pieces, sells for 150 pounds, $170, and 170 euro. So without a doubt, this is definitely over the standard part to price ratio. It's certainly a little bit more expensive than maybe your average set for the amount of pieces that you get, but we do get a lot of exclusive minifigs, at least so far exclusive. And I would say that the price doesn't change that much compared to how the 2015 Falcon was set at. And anyways, let's get into the minifigs first. I feel like they've got some really cool details. First up here is Han. He's got a brown jacket along with, of course, that sort of leg strap that he's pretty much got on every minifig version of himself. It's there to hold his pistol. He comes with two expressions, the new-ish hairpiece that Han Solo had especially made for the character, and in general, the print that makes up the torso is pretty good. I like the sort of matted gray detail that kind of outlines the pockets and the lines along the sides of the vest, and I have a feeling we're going to be seeing another version of this Han in sets to come later down the line. Same goes for Chewie. I'm sure we're going to get another version of this updated Chewie. The main thing that sticks out is the different mold that he has. This now has two ammo belts that kind of crisscross with each other, along with a molded little pouch that kind of hangs off, sort of like a fanny pack, and also you can see sort of the double strap that goes along the back. I have a feeling that is the same print that we've gotten for the legs from previous Chewies, but you can see he also doesn't come with his bowcast rifle, but instead a long blaster rifle. I wonder if he gets his bowcaster at some point throughout the film. Now the next really big character is Lando. Lando's coming back and probably the coolest looking fig from the set. Well, I don't know about that. He's still a really amazing looking guy. I really like the juxtaposition of the bright yellow with the blue that is printed on the underside of his cape. There's that nice little black border that goes around it. That is actually an example of a new sort of printing technique that they're using on these capes. This cape is very much like the older sort of papery type of cape, not like the soft cloth that we're getting for a lot of Batman figs. And the collar part that you see at the top is actually all part of the same cape mold. You just sort of fold the thing around on itself. Lando has two pretty decent looking expressions, a nice hairpiece, and he comes with a silver blaster rifle. Ki-Ra is an interesting fig. She's got a really good bit of detailing that makes up the front and back of the torso piece. You can see the outline for a necklace in the front and just the tiniest hint of sort of silver outlining that goes along the bottom of the torso as well. Most importantly, I think the best feature of her is actually the hairpiece. The ponytail piece looks kind of standard, but I believe it is new. It is soft, so those tufts of hair that hang on the sides can actually be bent around a little bit. She's got two pretty standard looking expressions. And then here is one of my favorite figs to come from the entire line of Solo sets. This is the Kessel Operations Droid. It looks very much like a protocol droid though. You can definitely see all those gears and wires that hang out in the front and back of the torso, so much like all the other protocol droids. The legs too have sort of a similar kind of joint printing, and aside from the fact that he's bright red, you can see a lot of the dirt marks that wrap around and kind of speckle the entire body. What really makes this guy look unique though is the fact that he is kind of a Cyclops droid. There's no mouth or anything else, and it looks like he's just got the single camera or lens that sticks out at the top of the head. It looks a little bit ominous, not gonna lie, but definitely one of the more interesting protocol droids that we've ever gotten. Now this next fig is kind of a historical one, at least in very brief form. Lego usually has new minifigure pieces come out for Star Wars figures, and this is the case with Quay Tulsite. The skirt or gown piece used at the bottom is a specially molded part that never existed before this wave, and it can attach much easier into the torso, much better than the sloped pieces that LEGO used to use before. Now we have printing on both the front and back of this gown piece. Matches up much better. It looks like it's a bit dirty at the bottom, which is kind of a nice detail. And Quay also has this really odd sort of helmet shape that looks something like a hood, but maybe also a breathing apparatus. And the minifigure comes with a gold molded head with little to no expression around the head, just eyes and maybe another little bit of detailing to show some breathing apparatus. Really interesting and kind of ominous looking character. And the last minifig, which still technically counts as a minifig, this is what I believe an Astromech Droid. It's called DDBD, cute kind of name, and a very interesting sort of build. You can see that the sort of undersides of the studs are facing each other where the head and the torso meet, and that's because the torso has been flipped upside down in order to meet the build quality that they wanted to get for those little legs that stick out the bottom. But ultimately the detailing is good, and I don't know, it kind of looks like one of those refrigerator robots mixed up with an Astromech Droid, and personally I like the way it looks. Now that we got the minifigs out of the way, let's talk about the ship. In general, I just like to show you guys a little bit closer what some of these external details look like. Lots of good blue detailing, and you can kind of see how those tile pieces sort of match up, and you can tell there's a little bit of a pattern here. Not really though, when you look at it from sort of afar. It feels a little bit random, but there is sort of a pattern of blue along certain edges of these tiles, so not all of it is completely sort of just smushed on there. There is kind of a little bit of rhyme to reason. And yeah, ultimately I would say that the ship itself has a lot of really fun, good looking aspects to it, and part of that is because, well, you know, it pretty much is the 2015 version and also the subsequent version behind it that came out. So there isn't a whole lot about the Falcon that really changed up. So here are the two different Falcons. I gotta say, maybe comparing this Falcon to the other one, you can see just sort of the difference between them. You might even be able to tell that these forks, yeah, it's just 3 studs longer, so these forks feel just a little bit shorter and stubbier. Personally, I've never really been a big fan as to how either of these Falcons were put together, just in terms of, see this line, how it kind of curves in, and then you see the straight. The Falcon always had just kind of a straight line coming straight out of that circle, and you can see for both of the models, neither one of those really gets that right, but there are certain sacrifices that sort of LEGO just has to make in order to make sort of a solid play scale for this ship. And looking at this from the top down, you can see that the pizza discs, the shape for both of the Falcons, are almost exactly the same to each other. Even when looking closer, especially focusing on those sort of long wedge pieces and how they're connected to the external body of the ship, you know, sort of how they're kind of connected right here along these points. That's a very similar connection, almost exactly the same. In fact, pretty much exactly the same, minus just sort of the greebling around the area. These slices, so to speak, really do connect up pretty much the same way. And the same can be said for how the cockpit also attaches down here. So we've got the way the cockpit comes off from the 2015 version, kind of breaks off that way, and you know, there's the seats down there. To be fair, the cockpit version breaking off for the latest one, it is a little bit better. I mean, I just like, it feels a little bit solid, more solid, like less pieces can break off, and I do like the internal section just a tad more than the 2015 one. But yeah, all in all, very similar, almost nearly identical, and you can kind of tell that the creators sort of had the idea of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, which I'm mostly inclined to agree. Now, when it comes to the back though, like I showed out before, let me just open up the pizza slices and you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So that's what the back looks like there. And then when you open up the 2015 set, this is what the back looks like all the way over here. And I think just being able to get completely in this area is just, it's just a nicer sort of feel. It feels a little bit more inviting. The interior feels a little bit more like you can play around with it more. There's still quite a bit of openness, but the fact that that is locked down kind of blocks off just a little bit of the interior, and I'm not really sure how necessary this extra bit of enforcement really was, because at the end of the day, the 2015 Falcon still is super, super strong, and you can pretty much pick up and handle it from kind of any place here. I'm holding it one hand, maybe even directly from the back, the spot that should be sort of weaker. I can feel a little bit of a bend there. Like, there definitely isn't, it's not like 100% solid, but you can still pick up the whole model that way. So personally, I would have liked to have been able to fold that out. That's kind of a very small, sort of nitpicky little thing that I'm not a big fan of, but anyways, it's pretty much as solid and as good of a build as the 2015 set. All right, so why don't we check out the internal structure of this ship first, all the insides, and then sort of work our way back out, and I can sort of focus on that little escape pod fork in the front. So this first section that we're checking out, I believe that is the hyperdrive system, and next to it is just a little bit of cargo. This is the secret cargo, so to speak. It appears in a few other sets from this wave, and according to the lore, we don't actually know what that secret cargo is yet. You just sort of have to guess, or maybe, who knows, maybe there has been some sort of press release on it now, but anyways, there's a little bit of white binoculars. Perhaps that's an item that gets used later in the movie. And when you move on to the other side, here we've got an interesting bit. I think it actually looks a little bit better from sort of this angle. It's a little bit high up, but here, you can actually just break it right out. This is a bunk. Kind of interesting. So a yellow bottom, white walls, and I like sort of the tile smoothness that we get, and the fact that it just kind of, you can just kind of pull it right out and you don't have to really mess around with it. Next to it, of course, is the bar. Let's see if I can just pick up the whole dang ship. Yep, just a couple of colorful drinks, some mugs, and it kind of rests down there. You can see that there is kind of a consistent color combination within the internal structure of the ship. There's some yellow, there's also a little bit of yellow that's down there, and the yellow is once again carried over to the, what is that called? The Djarik hologram. I had to look that up again to find out the name of it. That is actually the same printed piece that is on the inside of the 2015 set. It's really, really nice. I love the way that print looks. It's probably one of the cooler prints that we get from any of the Star Wars sets, at least from this wave. And the chair system here is kind of simplified compared to what we got from maybe the last interior section. I kind of like the half circle. I think it looks pretty good. And there is also some stickers down here. There are a few stickers in this set. The stickers here are part of sort of a targeting system, maybe, control console. Actually, a lot of those little sort of details look pretty familiar. I feel like I've seen those in the Falcon from before. But once again, you can see that the inside has also got black floors, which is not the same as the Falcon from before. The Falcon had gray floors, and the walls are white. Now, very quickly, I do want to just show how this arm attaches. I always like the way that attaches. It's just got the ratcheted point in there, and it just kind of rests there. That's the same connection point that we got from the 2015 Falcon, and I think it works just as well. So that is very much the case of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because that's actually a really fun connection point. All right, and the last thing I want to show off for the main body of the interior is you can snap an extra missile piece in there, and there's a few other little sections to point out. We've got the cannon. This is no longer the quad cannon, it's just a single longer turret, and it opens pretty much the same way that it would have opened from the last set. And inside, we've got two different seats for the two different sets of targeting systems. You can fit the minifigs inside the seats pretty darn easily. They kind of stud in with two studs each, and the whole thing slides right back in, and it's just like they're sort of controlling and being able to see out the top and controlling both the cannon from the top, and of course, let me just show you now, the cannon from the bottom. I think my cargo container just fell out. But anyways, yeah, little ratcheted piece there. And it's pretty much the exact same build there. Also, you notice such a solid bit of Lego building. There's a lot of good connection points right in the center of the ship, and this thing is not at all weak in any way. Now, I know I showed you guys this for a second, but let me just show you once again. Really nice build, an excellent print that make up the cockpit piece, both that front dish as well as the sort of top windscreen. Looks really good. I like the way that that was built out. Pretty much the exact same as it was from the 2015 set. Chewie can sit right there in the front, or whoever. Han can sit in the back. The arm for the second person kind of has to go up a little bit. They can sit right next to the pilot. It's a super snug fit, but you can get them. Ooh, you see that? Something popped him out of his seat there. All right, yeah, Chewie might be a little bit too fat for this. Maybe Key Rock can fit in. Looks like these two can fit. Yeah, Key Rock can fit. Let me try that again with Chewie. Han's kind of leaning a little further back. Can he fit? Let's do it. Okay, yeah, they can fit. That was a much tighter fit though. But you can see them. There they are, having fun, having a blast in the Falcon. All right, I'm glad that worked. If you couldn't fit Chewie in, I would have been concerned. Now, in terms of external functions of the ship, I've already showed that you can kind of spin around the turrets, but I think the most fun function for the set is being able to move around the dish piece. It's got two different sort of ball joints, and that makes it so you can have the thing sort of sink into the body a little bit. Not 100%, it doesn't like go totally flush, but it goes down pretty well, and then it lifts up in a very similar way to how the sort of dish would look from maybe the original Falcon. Though it is kind of interesting because the connection point is quite different, and it does make you think, it makes you wonder. I have a feeling that's probably a different dish than what we normally see from the original trilogy. Now, with more external functions, we do have some spring-loaded shots kind of hidden away on the body of the Falcon, with the triggers being, you know, these are the triggers right there. There's just those little clip pieces, and there's some slopes, and that is all you really need in order to pull it down. Let's see if I can hit him first try. Oh, let's see if I can hit him second try. Nope, well, anyways, that's what they are. 1 and 1, pretty easy to reload. Nice little trigger system, and you can sort of play around with them while you're swooshing. Now here's the Falcon, much lower to the ground. I really did just want to add in the nose. This is the sort of escape pod that nobody knew was an escape pod until this latest film. But before I show you guys any of the functions on that, I just want to show you very quickly just kind of what this thing looks like from underneath. The build for the landing gear is really solid. It's pretty much attached with internal Technic, so you're not going to be able to like knock them off very easily. The forelegs will stay on pretty much no matter what. And yeah, so that's just kind of what it looks like from the bottom, and this is the back. So the back feels very smooth. There isn't a lot of extra stuff kind of sticking off. I know there's these 4 sort of fins sticking off from the Falcon from the original that most people were used to seeing. And it looks pretty decent, though I have to say the Technic does kind of poke through towards the bottom. Just a little bit too much here, just like right there towards the back. Not as big of a fan there just for the detailing. It does kind of stick out a little bit, just a little bit too much. There is some of that sticks out by the nose as well, but it doesn't seem to be so close to the edge like it is for the back here. Though I do like this sort of smooth, round feeling that we've got. And right, so now let's talk about the front. Let's talk about the nose. This is the main thing. This is the main difference that everybody sort of noticed right from the beginning. So similar to how this kind of moves up and attaches around, there is a kind of, the opening section for this nose works in very much the same way. Now the angle for them doesn't match up very flush, which is once again another sort of proportion thing, which isn't the nicest thing. This should be like a perfectly straight line, and if that was there, the proportions and sort of the feel of the ship would look, I think, a lot better. But it's just one of those things that just couldn't quite make it into the design. So what we have here is the nose. Now this, I mean, it looks pretty much how you might imagine it to look, because it really is just a piece that kind of sticks out into the middle of the ship here. And it's got actually kind of a decent little build that make up sort of those thrusters in the back. No windshield or cockpit, no opening of any kind. It looks like this whole thing is just going to be kind of controlled by that one little bit of control. That's it. You see that? That one little sticker? No seats, no interior, nothing. Except for another little bit of sort of secret cargo. Once again, we don't know what that is yet as of the making of this video, but a lot of the sets do have that secret cargo, and that is what's being shot away. So maybe they're trying to get the secret cargo off the ship and maybe the ship's getting attacked or followed or something, and so this is going to jettison away and keep the characters and whatever the heck it is that they're trying to smuggle out of the hands of whoever it is that is trying to take it. All right, so final thoughts are, yeah, I'm pretty down with the ship. There were, you know, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 little things that, you know, at the end of the day were kind of little critiques on the ship, but all in all, I think the shape is really nice, and the minifigs are great. I really like Lando. Also, Quaid's hull sight's awesome. This particular protocol droid is awesome. So I think it's pretty strong, and once again, the part to price ratio is certainly above average, but nothing unexpected, and nothing that I don't think, if you were really into a set like this, wouldn't actually be worth it. Oh, hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that video. I just wanted to pop in really quick and say that we do have a web store, brickvault.toys, that sell instructions for super high quality mocks that are built by incredibly talented designers. So that is the first link in the description below. And also there's other videos too. We've got other things if you want to watch that. All right, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time at Brick Vault.